Hello, hello, hello. I am seeing that we're live in a moment. I'm going to mute because I go live um, so I can watch your comments coming through. I don't know how many people will be joining me live today. I know I'm joining late today. I have been fighting, I think, the flu. I don't know. I just bought it. But it has knocked me down for 3 or 4 days. So I am much better. And I know many of you guys were praying for me. But it just took me a while to get up and get going and get all this happening. So thank you for your patience. For those of you who didn't catch me live, I'm so sorry this morning. And I'm glad you're here on the replay. But I still want you to comment. I still want to know that you guys were here. And if anybody joins me live, I would love to know that you are with me live. I do see some people joining. So I'm glad that you're here and that you were able to join again. And if you want to leave a comment and let me know that you are there, I know some of you are at work or driving and different things like that. So it's hard to comment, but if you can comment, I would love to know that you're there. Today, we're going to be talking about sacred cows and inner vows. And God's had me on this inner vow thing for a little while. I haven't shared it with you guys yet, just because He's been really doing some work, just helping me understand it more and more and how we mark time. But then He took it somewhere today because we're also going to be talking about altars. And I'm going to start there, I think. I've been trying to think, how would I start this? How would I begin this? And really, I want to talk about altars. One of the saddest things that has happened, that I think has happened in the church today, is that altars, either they're non existent in a church, or they're filled with ministry teams. And I get it. I think it's important to have a prayer team up front, but I can't tell you how many times I hit an altar when I just knew I needed to be at the altar and I didn't know yet what it was that I needed to pray about or how God was going to meet me there. And I know many of you are thinking, well, you can meet God at home. And yeah, I mean, that's true. And man, there's an altar in our home as well. It may not be there physically, but there is a spiritual altar in our home. And yes, I spend time at it, a lot of time at it. But there is something about hearing a message from the Lord from the head of your house, right? Your church home, that when it pricks your heart, you should have an opportunity to go forward and bow your knee. Now, I am pretty adamant about this and very unapologetic about this. If you never move at a church, you're missing something big in your walk with Christ. And I know He'll meet you where you are in that pew and all of those things. But there comes a point when you've got to move. You've got to say, this is moving me, God. Come, come hell or high water. I'm going to change. If you are always looking at God and saying, you meet me where I am, who's really God? Who's really God? I didn't even know I was going here, but I just need to talk to you. Who's really God? And so as I was thinking about the altar, I was also thinking about this time when a former church of ours that I spent a lot of time at the altar at. There were lots of tears, not just tears for my own life, but tears for the people that I love. A lot of answered prayer through those tears. And as I heard that they were redoing the carpet and they were renovating the church we had already left. And I thought, oh, they're going to be ripping up the carpet at the altar. There were a lot of tears shed, and I actually asked the pastor to send me a small square of the altar carpet because I needed to memorialize the moments of my life, the prayers that had been sown in that place, the revival that was going on in that place. This was a little small church in Deep Gap, North Carolina, called Trinity Baptist Church. It was the most Baptist church you've ever seen. My husband's very first pastorate. It was the first time I was ever a pastor's wife. And I spent a lot of time at that altar, weeping for people, weeping for situations, seeking the Lord's heart. And that's really where the altar became a sacred place for me. There were no ministry team between me and the altar. It was just me and the altar. Now, my husband was always there to pray. I was there to pray with people. We had people there to pray, but there was something about going to the altar. And as I studied this morning about altars, I saw that there were several things that altars were used for. And so I want to just kind of submit this to you. I want you to think about this. It was a place of sacrifice, it was a place where you laid down things. And I think much of the time people go to church to go and get things, and they forget that when it comes with the Lord, comes to the Lord, the power, the real power comes from laying down things. We choose daily. Why do we need an altar? Not only at church, but in our home, in our heart, right now, in our heart. We choose daily to lay down our lives. And it has to be daily, you guys. I can't tell you that how many times I thought, I finally did it. I laid down my life. And then I got what? Busy, distracted, um, self centered. Um, just there's so many things that get in the way of dying on an altar. And that's what God calls us to do, is to lay down our life on an altar. It was a place of repentance and restoration. When the Israelites would sin, like in the Old Testament with Moses, when they sinned, an altar was built, right? And sacrifices were given. You know, the whole thing about the scapegoat and the sacrifice that was laid on the altar. It was a place of repentance. Third, it was a place of remembrance. They would take stones and build an altar to remember the goodness of God, like at the Red Sea. When God, it was a place of gratitude, right? So it was a place of remembrance, to mark when God spoke to them. Abraham actually built an altar when God told him this would be his land. So he built an altar there immediately because that's where God spoke to him. And then at the Red Sea, Moses built an altar of gratitude. And then it says, yeah, they built where God met them. So, altars, why are they so important? I was reading short stories I was preparing this morning about a missionary family that had gone to a new place, and there was no altar in the church that his dad had just gotten, the little missionary church that he had gotten. And he said, I was more touched by the fact that my dad, looking around, saw the pews, saw the pulpit, saw all the stuff, but then he looked and there was no altar, that my dad immediately gathered us boys up and we went and got the lumber and built the altar. It was that primary to him. Now, I'm not talking about just the church, although that is sad to me that there's not just a place to go and deal with God, that we're so on a time clock, that we're trying to get people in and out of services that we've forgotten the whole point of being there. I remember one time, I'll just go off on this for a moment, but I remember one time I was dealing with unforgiveness and just really hurting from a situation in my life. And I could tell that it was getting in between me and God, because my worship, although I continued to worship and no one on the outside would realize, I knew what I was feeling on the inside. Some of you may be feeling that right now. And I just knew on the inside something had broken my worship. It was something in the way, something that was keeping it from being where it needed to be, my love for Jesus. And I remember at the end, I don't even remember exactly what the message was about, but it revealed it to me. And I went straight to the altar. And I just sat there and I go, God, I've done this over and over. And I said, but I can't keep doing this. I cannot keep um, I can't keep this distance between us. So whether they lock the doors and turn out the lights and everybody leaves, I am not leaving this altar unchanged. Lord, I want you more than anything. And I will sit here until you meet me here and you break it down at the altar. And I believe my husband would have locked the doors and turned out the lights if he needed to, because he knew not to move me. And God showed up and he wrecked my heart again. And I fell in love with him all over again. And someone needs to be challenged right now to build an altar in your spiritually, build an altar in your home. It's time to get on your knees and it's time to say, God, wreck me, mark me, undo me. You know, this week we announced that we have a new free community. We don't even know what all it's going to entail, but we know that we're going to pour into it, and it's free. All you do is sign up for it. We're going to have Bible studies and discipleship. We're going to have courses that we're going to lay out. And when I say we, I'm meaning me and my children, Reagan, Peyton, and Grayson. Some of you haven't heard Grayson speak, and um, and Peyton. These children have something golden inside of them, and they're all going to be dropping courses in there. I know Reagan's in the midst of writing a book right now. Why am I telling you this? Because we've called it the altar. It's going to be a place where we meet and we get quiet with the Lord and we lean in with the Lord. It's going to be a place where people are marked and undone and wrecked for the Lord. I think we've put God in a box. I think we've made him socially acceptable. And God doesn't make us socially acceptable. I remember one time my husband said, there was an evangelist that said, come forward, God's not going to embarrass you. And my husband laughed. He was like, I don't know what God he's serving, but yes, he will. It's time to get undone and undignified for the Lord. It just is. And I get it. Some of you watching this may think, well, I don't want to. Well, you're not my people. And I understand that. That's okay. There is plenty of sanitized. There's just plenty of that out there. You can find it. But here, we're going to get undone and we're going to get wrecked. So we're going to know what it's like to go to an altar and say, I'm not okay with where I'm at. I want to be undone for you. One of those people that I see right now, and it's funny, the first time I ever heard his name, it was actually on a podcast. And someone said he's the kind of guy that is affronting to you. He said the first time I ever met him, I was offended. And the reason why is because he worshiped because of his deep worship. And today I was listening. A lot of times I'll put, he actually is a worship leader at our church upper room. And I heard that and I was like, well, that's interesting. And then I thought it was maybe because he's childlike when he worships, very manly, but very childlike when he worships. And it's funny because Wade was the same way. People told him, are you ever going to grow up? And and he said, Wade said, no, I'm not going to grow up. God said for me to be childlike. But anyway, so this young man is this way too. He is, he's childlike when he worships the Lord. But this morning, the song "He Is Worthy" was there, and there's this place in "He Is Worthy" where it says, "Who is worthy to open up the scroll?" And then it says, "Is he worthy? Is he worth this? Is he worthy? Is he worthy?" And it has this build up, and then the singers then says, "Yes, he is." Okay. And this morning, as I was listening to it, and I hope I can describe this in a way. I hope I can express this in the way that I'm trying to express. Any singer can sing the lines. It's not the lines and it's not the verbiage, but it was the person of the singer. His name is Aaron Tedeschi. It was the person of the singer because when he hit, yes, he is, there was such purity and honesty and authenticity. Like it was like tangible love. Have you ever had someone describe to you how they love someone and it feels almost tangible? Like, I get that. Like, I feel your love for this person. That's exactly the type of worship leader that he is. Like, you feel the love for him. This is where I'm going to cry. Trying not to cry. I realized that if the world was full of Christians like that, there wouldn't be so many lost people. We've got to unsanitize it, y'all. We've got to get God out of the box. He can't fit in it anyway. We've got to quit trying to contain it. And we need to get wrecked and undone. And the only way that we're going to get wrecked and undone is if we get to an altar. We need altars in our homes. We need altars in our cars. We need altars in our work. And we need altars back in our churches because it's the place where people learn how to get to an altar. And we need to quit putting people between people in the altar. I'm not saying not to have prayer teams, but I'm also saying give people some altar space. One of the things that I love about our church is that the whole service is an altar. I mean, it just really is. I mean, they purposely are a house of prayer. Worship is prayer. Anyway, I won't go all into that. Maybe sometime I'll do that. So the announcement for today that I told you I would be making is that we are moving this meeting to the altar. And I'm going to put the link down in here because I want to throw all my time into building the altar space. And it'll make more sense. What's going to happen in this space is we're going to have Bible studies. We already know this. Let me just say this. We already know we're going to do this. I don't know where else God's going to take it because we're not going to contain this. We are going to disciple. Our point of Consumed by the Call is to light on fire the Church of the Living God because she's too sanitized. It's time, like I said, to get wrecked and undone. It's time to start speaking out. Y'all, the world is a mess and they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to fix it, but we do. And how dare we sit back and judge when we're not doing what we should be doing? Okay. So Consumed by the Call is going to be doing what we should be doing. So the altar is a space where every Wednesday at noon, I'll be going live, or one of the kids will be going live. And we're going to teach, and we're going to disciple, and we're going to pray. I feel like there's going to be prayer times. The altar, we're going to carry the altar into different cities. If you want an altar at your city, we're going to come, and we're going to lead worship, and we're going to dig into the Word of God, and we're going to open up the altars. Because if we don't, we're going to lose this nation and we're going to lose this world. And that will be the saddest thing because Jesus died for you all. He gave everything and then he handed the keys to us. And what are we doing with it? What are we doing with it? Okay. So sorry. The more I cry, more likely I'm going to cough. So I'm going to leave this here. It is altar.consumedbythecall.org. It's free. No strings attached. Just sign up and jump in and watch it grow. Watch it grow. I love you guys. See you later.